Gentlemen, let me begin with something that might surprise you. Every single morning across America, millions of men over 60 pour themselves a cup of coffee, drink it down, and without knowing it, waste the best opportunity they have to make their manhood feel alive again. Yes, I'm talking about stronger, longer-lasting erections, even if you are well into your 70s or 80s. What if the very cup you've been enjoying for years could either keep you weak or help you feel like your old self again? My name is Dr. Rena Malik. I am a urologist and a teacher of men's health with more than 30 years of experience. And I have spent my life helping men regain their strength, energy, and self-assurance. I have sat across from thousands of men in my office who believed their best days were over. And I have shown them solutions that changed their lives. Here's the unexpected fact. Most men think performance problems are just a normal part of getting older. They blame age, stress, or bad luck. But the real puzzle is this. While so many men look to pills, surgeries, or expensive treatments, some of the most powerful solutions are already sitting in their kitchen. And here's my promise to you. Add just one simple natural item to your coffee, and you can greatly improve blood flow, boost testosterone, and restore erections in a way that feels natural, safe, and lasting. This isn't just an idea. It's science proven by research and decades of results in real men. So stay with me, because in just a moment I'm going to show exactly what to stir into your morning cup and why it can reignite your body's performance even at 80 years old. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe and tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future advice on men's health and vitality. And I'd love to hear from you. If this message speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If it doesn't, type 0 and let me know how I can make these videos more helpful for you. Now, let's dive into the real reason so many men over 60 struggle with weaker erections. It's not just age. It's what's happening inside your body. To truly fix the problem, we must understand why erections fade as the years go by and what's quietly changing your biology. When I sit across from men in my office, one of the first things they often ask me is, "Doc, why is this happening to me? Why, after all these years, do I suddenly struggle with something that used to feel so natural?" And I always tell them the same thing. It isn't sudden. It's been building slowly inside your body for decades. By the time you reach 60, 2 critical shifts are already underway. First, your testosterone, the very hormone that fuels a man's energy, drive, and ability to perform, has dropped nearly in half compared to what it was in your 20s. Second, the blood vessels that carry life, giving circulation to your heart, your brain, and yes, to your penis, have stiffened with age. They aren't as flexible or responsive as they used to be, and that makes all the difference. Think about it like this. When you were younger, your body worked like a high-pressure garden hose. The water rushed through quickly and powerfully, filling every corner. Erections came easily because blood flow was strong and your tissues were responsive. But as you age, that hose becomes worn, stiff, and leaky. The water trickles instead of rushing, and the result is weaker, shorter-lasting erections, or sometimes nothing at all. This isn't about willpower or desire. It's biology, and here's the part most men never hear. Once those vessels narrow and testosterone falls, the body begins a cycle of decline. Less testosterone leads to less energy and muscle, less blood flow leads to weaker erections, and over time, a man can start to feel like a shadow of who he once was. I remember one patient in particular, a 67-year-old grandfather who came to see me. He sat there quietly, then whispered, "I just don't feel like a man anymore." And I could see in his eyes that this wasn't only about sex. It was about identity, confidence, the spark that makes you feel alive. That pain is real, and yet, What I told him and what I'll tell you now is that biology can be influenced. Decline is not destiny. Your body still has remarkable capacity to respond when given the right fuel and support. The good news is that you don't need a prescription to start shifting things back in your favor. The very cup of coffee you drink each morning can be transformed into a tool for restoring circulation and supporting your hormones. By adding the right natural ingredients, you can help those stiff vessels relax, open up blood flow, and give your body what it needs to feel strong again. It's simple, it's natural, and it can work even if you're well into your 70s or 80s. So, now that you understand why erections fade with age, let me show you how something as ordinary as your morning coffee can become extraordinary when you unlock its hidden potential. Every morning, men across this country pour themselves a cup of coffee without giving it a second thought. For many of us, it's almost automatic. The smell of those fresh grounds, the steam rising from the cup, the first sip that jolts you awake. It feels like a daily ritual that keeps us going. I've had men in my office tell me, "Doc, I could give up almost anything, but not my coffee." And I always smile because I understand. I start my day the same way. Coffee wakes up the brain, sharpens focus, and gives us that sense of energy we've relied on for decades. But here's what most men don't realize. Coffee, as it is only doing half the job. Yes, caffeine increases circulation temporarily. Yes, it can give you that mental edge, but playing coffee alone is like stepping on the gas pedal of a car that hasn't been tuned in years. You'll get a quick burst of speed, sure, but you'll burn out quickly, and the underlying engine problems remain. That's why so many men find themselves reaching for a second cup by mid-morning and a third in the afternoon, chasing that high that never lasts. The truth is, black coffee by itself is like regular fuel in a high-performance car. It works, but it doesn't give you the premium performance your body now demands as you age. Here's the paradox. Coffee could be so much more. With just a simple addition, that same cup could go from a quick wake-up call to a powerful health tool that supports your blood vessels, protects your heart, and fuels your erections. Think about that for a moment. The very drink you already enjoy every morning could be transformed into a natural science-backed solution for one of the most frustrating problems men face after 60. That's not fantasy. That's real physiology waiting to be unlocked. I've seen it firsthand with my patients. One man in his 70s told me that after years of struggling, he started adding just one natural ingredient to his morning coffee. And within weeks, he felt his energy stabilize and his confidence returned in the bedroom. He wasn't jittery anymore. He wasn't crashing by midday, and he felt more in control of his body. That simple change gave him hope again, and it reminded me that the smallest adjustments often create the biggest transformations. Coffee doesn't need to be just a habit. It can be a vehicle for healing and restoration. It's familiar. It's affordable, and it's already in your life. All it takes is knowing what to add to it so that it becomes more than a beverage. It becomes a partner in your health, your strength, and your manhood. And the best part is you don't have to wait months or years to see the difference. Now let's uncover the very first ingredient that can turn your ordinary cup of coffee into extraordinary fuel for your body and your erections. An ingredient that has been used for centuries and yet most men completely overlook. When I think back to my childhood, I can still remember the smell of cinnamon drifting from the kitchen. My mother would sprinkle it over warm oatmeal or mix it into a pie that filled the whole house with that sweet, comforting aroma. For many of us, cinnamon is a flavor tied to good memories, holidays, and family gatherings. But what most men don't realize is that this familiar spice carries a secret power. One that can protect your blood vessels, stabilize your energy, and even restore your ability to achieve strong, lasting erections. Here's why it matters. As we age, one of the biggest enemies of men's health is unstable blood sugar. Every spike and crash in your blood sugar damages the tiny blood vessels throughout your body, and the smallest, most delicate vessels, the ones inside the penis, are often the first to suffer. These vessels are thinner than a human hair, and when they get damaged, circulation to that area weakens long before you ever notice trouble in your larger arteries. This is why men with blood sugar issues often experience erectile problems years before they're diagnosed with diabetes. Cinnamon steps in like a guardian. It has been shown in research to lower fasting blood sugar by as much as 20 to 30%. And that single effect protects those delicate vessels that feed your manhood, but cinnamon does even more. It helps your blood vessels relax and open through a process called vasodilation. The active compound cinnamaldehyde actually boosts nitric oxide, the very same molecule that prescription drugs like Viagra are designed to target. When nitric oxide increases, blood flow improves. And when blood flow improves, erections become stronger, fuller, and more dependable. I've had patients tell me that after just a few weeks of adding cinnamon to their morning coffee, they felt steadier energy throughout the day and a noticeable difference in the bedroom. One man, a retired contractor in his late 50s, told me he went from needing an afternoon nap to powering through his projects with a steady hand. Another benefit is that cinnamon brings warmth not just in taste but in circulation. That subtle warming effect is your body responding to improved blood flow. And the beauty of it is you don't need a lot. A quarter teaspoon stirred into your coffee is enough to set this process in motion. The key is consistency, making it part of your daily ritual, so your vessels stay protected, your energy stays stable, and your confidence begins to return. Cinnamon is more than a spice. It's a daily act of self-care that tastes good, costs little, and carries centuries of wisdom alongside modern scientific proof. Now, imagine taking this one step further, combining that warm spice with another natural ingredient that not only supports blood flow, but flips the master switch for erections inside your body. Let's talk about cocoa. There is something almost universal about the comfort of chocolate. Maybe it was the candy bar you craved as a boy or the piece of dark chocolate you reach for now and then as a treat. That rich, slightly bitter taste carries with it a sense of warmth and nostalgia, but here's the truth. Many men never realize. Beneath that familiar flavor lies a remarkable secret. Pure, unsweetened cocoa, dark, rich, and untouched by sugar, is one of nature's most powerful tools for restoring blood flow and reviving erections. Cocoa is loaded with flavonoids, compounds that act directly on the lining of your blood vessels. These flavonoids trigger the release of nitric oxide, which is the single most important molecule when it comes to erections. Think of nitric oxide as the open sesame signal for your arteries. When levels are high, blood vessels expand wide, circulation increases, and blood flows into the penis easily. When levels are low, vessels stay stiff and narrow, and no matter how much desire you have, the body simply can't respond. This is the exact pathway targeted by medications, but cocoa allows you to encourage the same response naturally. I remember a patient in his early 70s, a man who had nearly given up on intimacy. He came to me tired, embarrassed, and hesitant to even speak about his struggles. I suggested he start adding a teaspoon of raw cocoa powder to his morning coffee. A month later, he returned with a smile. "I'll never forget, Doc," he said. "It feels like someone flipped a switch inside me. That's what nitric oxide does." It flips the master switch that powers erections, and cocoa is one of the simplest, safest ways to increase it. But cocoa offers more than just physical benefits. It also has compounds that lift mood: anandamide, sometimes called the bliss molecule, and phenylethylamine. the same chemical released when we fall in love. Men often underestimate how important the mind is in performance. When you feel calmer, more positive, and more connected, your body follows. Add to that the magnesium found abundantly in cocoa, which supports testosterone production and muscle function, and you start to see why this simple addition is so effective. The taste itself transforms your coffee into something special, a mocha-like richness without the sugar spike of hot chocolate. And if the bitterness feels too strong at first, you can soften it with a drop of natural sweetener like stevia or monk fruit. The point is, you're not only enjoying a more satisfying cup, you're giving your body the signal to wake up, to open the pathways that have been closing with age, and to fuel your masculinity at its very core. Cinnamon helps keep your vessels healthy and steady, but cocoa goes deeper. It activates the very mechanism that allows those vessels to open wide. And as powerful as that is, there's another ingredient that has been treasured for centuries in the mountains of Peru. An ingredient known to restore drive, stamina, and passion. Let's turn to marker, the Andean secret. High in the thin cold air of the Andes Mountains grows a humble root that has been cherished for centuries by local farmers and herdsmen. That root is marker, and in Peru it is spoken of with a kind of reverence. They call it the natural Viagra, not because it works in the same way as a pill, but because it awakens something deeper inside the male body. When I first learned about marker, I was fascinated by how a plant growing at nearly 14 zeros, 0 ft in soil where almost nothing else survives could carry such strength and resilience. And when I began recommending it to my patients, I saw those same qualities reflected back in them. Marker doesn't force your body to respond. It encourages it to remember what it already knows how to do. Unlike synthetic drugs that push blood flow for a few hours, marker works by supporting the delicate balance of your hormones. It communicates with the hypothalamus and pituitary gland, the master controllers of your endocrine system, and helps restore a natural rhythm. This means your testosterone can begin to rise again, your energy can return, and your desire long dormant can resurface. I have seen men in their 60s and 70s describe the feeling not as a sudden jolt, but as a steady flame being rekindled week by week. The research backs this up. In one study, men who took about 2.44 g of marker daily, that's roughly a teaspoon, reported improvements in sexual desire and performance after just 12 weeks. Another study found higher sperm count and motility, clear signs that the body's reproductive engine was running more smoothly. But perhaps the most striking thing is how many men report not just physical benefits, but mental clarity, sharper focus, and a lift in mood. One of my patients, a retired teacher, told me, "Doc, it feels like someone turned the lights back on in my head." That's the kind of change that makes life fuller, not just in the bedroom, but in every room. Marker comes in different varieties. Yellow marker is the most common with a mild flavor and a gentle effect. Red marker is often praised for supporting prostate health, something every older man should consider. And black marker is considered the powerhouse, boosting stamina and energy more noticeably. Stirring just a teaspoon into your coffee adds a nutty, slightly malty flavor that many men come to enjoy, especially when paired with cocoa. What I love most about marker is that it's an adaptogen, meaning it helps your body adapt to stress rather than pushing it in one direction. In a world where men over 60 face constant pressures from work, from family, from health, this kind of support is invaluable. It builds resilience the way the mountain itself builds resilience in the root. Cinnamon healed the vessels. Cocoa flipped the nitric oxide switch, and now marker is fuel to your hormones and drive. But what if I told you there's an ingredient that doesn't just support hormones, but actually provides the raw material your body needs to make testosterone itself? Let's talk about coconut oil. For years, many men were told to stay away from fat. Low-fat diets were marketed as the key to health, and whole generations of men grew up fearing butter oils and anything rich. But here's the irony. Testosterone, the very hormone that makes a man feel alive, is built from fats and cholesterol. Without them, your body is starved of the raw materials it needs to keep you strong, vibrant, and sexually capable. This is why I often smile when I explain to my patients that adding a spoonful of coconut oil to their morning coffee could be one of the simplest ways to fuel their masculinity. Coconut oil is special because it's rich in medium-chain triglycerides, or MCT. These are unlike the long-chain fats found in most foods. Instead of taking the slow road through digestion, MCT travel straight to the liver where they are quickly converted into energy. Think of them as premium fuel that doesn't clog the system, but instead burns clean and powers the body almost immediately. Studies have shown that men who consume MCT can see testosterone levels rise by as much as 20% compared to those eating other types of fats. And with stronger testosterone comes better energy, more stable mood, and improved performance in every sense of the word. I remember a man in his late 60s who came into my office exhausted. He was still working part-time, still carrying responsibilities, but he said he felt like he was dragging his body through the day. I encouraged him to try what some call bulletproof coffee blended with coconut oil. A month later, he returned, and the difference was striking. His energy was steady all morning. He no longer felt the crash after breakfast, and he smiled as he admitted that intimacy with his wife had quietly become easier again. That's the kind of transformation that a simple dietary change can bring. Blending the oil into hot coffee creates a creamy latte-like drink, rich and satisfying. The fat slows down the absorption of caffeine, so instead of the sudden spike and inevitable crash, you get a smooth release of energy over hours. Some men prefer to use pure MCT oil, which is even more concentrated, while others find that starting with half a teaspoon of coconut oil and gradually building up is easier on digestion. Either way, the effect is the same. You're supplying your body with the very building blocks it needs to keep testosterone production alive. It's remarkable to think that something as simple as oil, long misunderstood, can be such a powerful ally in a man's health. And yet, as good as it is to fuel hormones directly, there's another ingredient that works in an entirely different way. It doesn't just support testosterone, it actually protects the very glands that produce it, while at the same time supercharging your circulation. Let's talk about ginger. There is something unforgettable about the sharp, warming bite of ginger. Maybe you've had it grated over a meal, sipped it in tea when you weren't feeling well, or tasted it in holiday cookies that carried a little extra spice. But beyond flavor and comfort, ginger has been treasured for thousands of years in traditional medicine. And for good reason. Modern science now confirms what our ancestors already knew. Ginger has the power to open blood vessels, calm inflammation, and even boost testosterone. For a man over 60, this means more circulation, more energy, and stronger erections. Ginger works in multiple ways. First, it improves blood flow. Its active compounds called gingerol and shoggles relax blood vessels, allowing them to open wider when blood flows freely. Your heart, brain, and yes, your manhood all benefit. That extra warmth you feel after drinking ginger tea or adding it to your food is not just a sensation. It's your blood moving more efficiently through your body. For men who struggle with circulation-related erectile issues, this simple spice can make a noticeable difference. But the real surprise is how ginger protects and supports testosterone. The testicles, where testosterone is made, are vulnerable to heat, toxins, and oxidative stress. Over time, those stresses can wear down the very cells responsible for hormone production. Ginger shields them. Research shows that daily ginger intake can raise testosterone levels significantly in one study by nearly 18% after just 3 months. It does this by increasing luteinizing hormone, the messenger that tells your testicles to make more testosterone, and by reducing the oxidative stress that slowly strangles their function. I recall a patient in his mid-60s, a quiet man who admitted he had tried almost every supplement with little success. I suggested he try adding fresh ginger slices into his morning coffee, or a /4 teaspoon of ginger powder if he wanted something more convenient. When he came back weeks later, his handshake was firmer, his smile brighter. He told me, "Doc, I feel warmer, stronger, more awake, and my wife noticed before I did." That moment reminded me how powerful small daily choices can be. The beauty of ginger is its flexibility. Fresh ginger delivers volatile oils that give an immediate circulation boost, while powdered ginger contains more concentrated compounds for long-term benefits. Some men prefer the kick of fresh, others the ease of powder. Either way, it's affordable, safe, and has been trusted in medicine for thousands of years. So, imagine this. You've added cinnamon to protect your vessels, cocoa to switch on nitric oxide, maca to restore drive, and coconut oil to fuel testosterone. Now, with ginger, you're supercharging circulation and defending the very source of your masculinity. The question then becomes, how do you put all of this into action without feeling overwhelmed? Let's bring it together into a simple step-by-step plan any man can follow. Now that we've walked through each of these powerful ingredients, I want to pause and address the thought many men have. At this point, you might be thinking, "Doc, this sounds great, but am I supposed to turn my kitchen into a science lab every morning?" And the honest answer is no. The beauty of these natural tools is that they don't require complicated steps or expensive equipment, hormone. What they require is consistency. When you learn to blend them into your daily routine in a simple, manageable way, the benefits stack up over time, and that's when you start to feel truly different, stronger, more confident, more alive. The first thing I tell men is start small. Pick one ingredient like cinnamon. It's easy, it tastes good, and it immediately begins supporting your blood sugar and circulation. A 1/4 teaspoon stirred into your morning coffee doesn't take more than a few seconds, but the impact compounds day after day. Once you feel comfortable, you can layer in cocoa. Suddenly, your coffee isn't just a wake-up drink. It's actively fueling nitric oxide, flipping that switch for better blood flow. Week by week, as you add MKA or coconut oil, you build a cup that doesn't just energize you for the morning. It fuels your body and your masculinity for the long run. One patient of mine, a man in his 70s, started with just cinnamon. After 2 weeks, he added cocoa. A month later, he tried maca 3 times a week. By the end of the 2nd month, he told me, "Doc, I've never felt this steady in years. My energy, my focus, my performance, it's all coming back." That's the power of layering, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. You don't need all 5 ingredients every single day. In fact, sometimes too much can be hard on digestion. Instead, think of it as building your personal formula. Some mornings maybe it's cinnamon and cocoa, other days maca and ginger. And when you have a little more time, you can blend coffee with coconut oil, cinnamon, cocoa, and ginger to make a rich, creamy latte that not only tastes incredible, but nourishes your body in ways ordinary coffee never could. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. And when you give your body time to adjust, you'll notice steady changes, better mornings, stronger energy, clearer thinking, and yes, firmer erections. Remember, you don't have to accept decline as normal aging. These small daily choices can turn your morning routine into one of the most powerful health practices of your life. And while we've now pulled the whole picture together, there's still one final truth you need to hear. Because understanding the science is one thing, but knowing why this matters emotionally as a man is something far deeper. Let's talk about that next. When we talk about erections, it's easy to make it sound like the goal is only about performance in the bedroom. But let me tell you something I've seen time and time again after decades of working with men. This is about much more than sex. Erections are like the body's report card. They tell us about the health of your blood vessels, your heart, your hormones, and even your brain. When they fade, it's rarely just about desire. It's often the first sign that circulation is slowing, that energy is dipping, and that your body is quietly asking for help. I remember a patient in his late 60s who came in looking defeated. He told me, "Doc, it's not just about not being able to perform. It's that I don't feel like myself anymore. I don't feel strong. I don't feel confident." And I understood exactly what he meant. For men, masculinity isn't only physical, it's emotional. It's about waking up in the morning with purpose, feeling capable of protecting your loved ones, and knowing that you still have vitality to share. When those feelings slip away, life loses a little of its color. That's why adding cinnamon, cocoa, maca, coconut oil, and ginger to your daily coffee isn't just about erections returning even at 80. It's about reminding yourself that you are still capable of growth, strength, and renewal. These ingredients don't just open blood vessels, they open doors to better energy, sharper focus, and a deeper sense of connection with the people who matter most to you. And when a man feels stronger in his body, he carries himself differently. He laughs more easily. He tackles challenges with more confidence, and he rediscovers the joy of intimacy without fear or hesitation. I've seen men who thought their best years were behind them completely transform once they realized that decline doesn't have to be inevitable. That spark of life, that sense of being fully present, it can return and it can last. Your morning coffee becomes a daily reminder that you're not powerless, that small choices can create enormous changes over time. And maybe most importantly, it becomes a ritual of self-respect, a way of telling your body and your mind, I still matter and I'm not done yet. So, as much as this is about circulation, hormones, and biology, it's also about identity, pride, and emotional well-being. Because when a man feels whole again, he doesn't just restore his body, he restores his life. And now that we've uncovered why this journey matters on such a deep level, it's time to bring it all together. Gentlemen, we've walked a long road together in this conversation. We started with the simple truth that plain coffee alone won't restore what time has slowly taken away, but by adding just a few natural science-backed ingredients, cinnamon, cocoa, maca, coconut oil, and ginger, you can transform your morning cup into something far more powerful. Each of these isn't just flavor. Their fuel cinnamon steadies your blood sugar and protects those delicate vessels. Cocoa flips the nitric oxide switch that controls blood flow. Maca speaks directly to your hormones, gently bringing them back to balance. Coconut oil fuels testosterone production by giving your body building blocks it needs, and ginger lights the fire of circulation while protecting the very glands that keep you a man. This isn't about fast solutions or mystery pills. It's about respect. Respect for your body, respect for your health, and respect for the years you've lived. I've seen many men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s find that strength, energy, and yes, erections can come back when they make small daily changes. It's not the sudden overnight wonder so many ads talk about. Instead, it's a steady, dependable rebuilding of your energy one morning at a time. And in many ways, that's stronger because it endures. I'll be straight with you. I find this very powerful as a doctor because when a man tells me he feels like himself again, that he's laughing more, working harder, or holding his wife's hand with a new feeling, I know we've done something bigger than fix a problem. We've helped him reclaim a part of his life, and isn't that what we all want, to feel alive, connected, and able, no matter how many candles are on the birthday cake? So here's my challenge to you. Tomorrow morning when you pour that cup of coffee, remember what we've discussed. Start with just one simple change. Give it a few weeks. See how your body reacts, then add another. Build your own plan, one that fits your personal journey, because your body is still able to do amazing things. It just needs the right support. Stay consistent, stay patient, and stay hopeful. Gentlemen, you're not finished yet. Your best days can still be ahead of you, and it all begins with that simple decision in your morning cup.